Before we get into this, I gotta ask you something. What if I told you there's a draft class coming where 5 different guys have been compared to? Kevin Durant, Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, and Derrick Rose? Sounds crazy, right? Like something out of a video game. Well, that's exactly what we're looking at with the 2026 NBA draft. And here's the thing. The more you dig into these guys, the more you realize this might actually be real. You are watching Dybantsa, freshman star, who scouts say is the second coming of Tracy Brady. AJ is leading all of college basketball with nearly 25 points per game on over 53% shooting, and he's 9th in the nation in PER. He's the type of future superstar the NBA usually hypes as its next #1 pick. But AJ might slip all the way to pick number 3 because the 2026 NBA draft is looking scarier by the minute. Teams are now desperately tanking because any one of the top 5 could be a franchise star for the next decade. The actual projected #1 pick, Darren Peterson, scores so smoothly that he's been given the dangerous comparison of Kobe Bryant himself. Caleb Wilson is averaging around 20 and 10 at North Carolina, being called a young Kevin Garnett, and he's projected 4th. Kingston Fleming's just dropped 42 points, and people are saying there are shades of Derrick Rose in his game. He might go 5th or later, and we haven't even mentioned Cameron Boozer. Boozer is the favorite to win National Player of the Year as a freshman, and is having one of the best college basketball seasons we have ever seen. So here's the big question. With these types of insane comparisons and expectations for 5 different picks, have scouts lost their minds? Or are we about to see the NBA change completely from one historic draft? Let's break it down. Dybantsa is having the best season by a freshman wing since Kevin Durant in 2007. Look at the base stats of current NBA All-Stars, or better, who became top 3 picks. It's KD at #1 and AJ at #2. What's even crazier? When we factor in efficiency, AJ actually has a higher true shooting percentage than Kevin Durant and has been more efficient than the huge names on this list. Throw in the fact that he's 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, can attack the basket from anywhere, playmake, initiate the offense, rebound at a respectable rate, and we're left asking, how is this not the easy #1 overall pick? Because AJ is producing like the most complete freshman wing we've seen in over a decade. Scouts say his 2 biggest weaknesses right now are ball handling and 3-point volume. He's averaging 9 turnovers per game, and his dribble can get sloppy at times. But for his size and position, his handle is still more than respectable. And while he's only making 3 threes a night, something that won't fly in the modern NBA, he's also shooting 9% from 3, so the ability to improve is there. But are these concerns about AJ big enough to overlook everything else? Here's what we need to understand about AJ. He's essentially a basketball prodigy whose game has been nitpicked to death. In 8th grade, he played high school basketball and averaged almost 20 points per game. Then heading into his sophomore year, he generated one Sonar generation buzz after leading the Nike Peach Jam in scoring over seniors and future top draft picks like Dylan Harper. That made AJ a household name. But when talking about dominating players 2 years older than him, AJ said, "I'm playing with the seniors, so I'm 15, playing against like Dylan Harper. Like those guys average what, 26? That wasn't a great example of letting everybody eat." AJ is a winner, and this kind of mindset is special. So is the fact that only 9 freshmen in the last 20 years have averaged at least 23 points per game in a season, and AJ is about to become the 10th. But when a player has been on NBA radars this long, people stop looking at the positives and focus only on his negatives. That's what's happening to AJ. Except, so many NBA players have been praising him. Kevin Durant said, "I love him. I was impressed by his size, fluidity, and ball handling." Devin Booker said, "You can already tell the maturity level. The competitive nature comes through in the conversation." And Draymond Green compared him to Anthony Edwards. "He gets downhill like Ant-Man. The way he attacks the basket is like, hey man, a 69 Anthony Edwards with an insane work ethic." In middle school, AJ was doing 3 workouts before 2 p.m., then finishing the day playing summer league games. BYU had to ban him from the gym over the summer because he was working too much. His dad, former police officer, made him, and his sisters do 100 push-ups a day, going as far as installing cameras in their house to hold them accountable. AJ once got a C- in 6th grade, so his dad drove him 6 hours to an AAU game, let him warm up, and then had the coach bench him to teach him a lesson. In other words, AJ has been taught that you need to work hard to be great, and that discipline keeps showing itself. AJ began this year averaging 9 points over his first 10 games. In his last 15 against better competition as averaging 26.7. He has the physical tools. He's only getting better. And if this is what he looks like right now, then what are scouts seeing that makes Darren Peterson the projected #1 overall pick? Darren Peterson is becoming one of the biggest mystery prospects we have ever seen. Just weeks ago, he had the label of a generational scorer. Guys like Doug Gottlieb have said Peterson is the closest thing to Kobe Bryant they have ever seen. Sports Illustrated said his play style compares to Kobe, while his potential development will resemble Anthony Edwards. But with that said, we are starting to see tweets like this pop up. Billy, this is Darren Peterson. He's a 65-200 LB pure scorer and is a matchup nightmare. Only problem is he hates playing basketball. If I were a general manager, I would be extremely concerned about Darren Peterson. He's played 12 of 24 games this year, and it's been everything from injuries to checking himself out of second halves. Nobody knows. Nobody wants to talk about it. It don't feel like he really wants to be there. Maybe this is a byproduct of when kids get paid NIL money up front. If that's the way it goes, it's like, well, if I don't want to be here, I get my money up front, then I can check out when I want. That's what this feels like. Yes, there is now a shadow of doubt cast over Darren Peterson as he's simply not playing in enough college basketball games. At first, we were told this was due to nagging injuries, and maybe this was even a positive. If he's really been playing hurt, then averaging 19, 8 points per game in the 14 games he's played this year would be incredibly impressive, especially because Darren Peterson has showcased an NBA-ready jumper. He's been knocking down 7 threes a game on over 41% shooting from deep. And let's be honest, this shot just looks so smooth. When he's on his game, Peterson can score at will. He has elite athleticism that lets him blow by defenders and finish over anyone at the remand. He also has the control to score from anywhere on the court. In high school, when he played AJ Dybantsa directly, Peterson came in ranked lower than AJ and scored 61 points to show everyone that he should be the #1 pick. His upside is unreal. In college, Jay Bilas said, "The last guy I could say that I feel like scored it as easily as Peterson was Kevin Durant." When Durant came out, you knew he was going to lead the league in scoring at some point. You feel kind of like that about Peterson. But here's the issue. People are beginning to wonder if Darren isn't actually hurt, but instead has taken his NIL money and doesn't really want to compete for Kansas. Before playing #1 Arizona, Peterson surprisingly decided to sit out and a text message from someone with perceived inside knowledge went viral. So he's sick and didn't tell anyone in practice. Coach Self said, "Don't half-ass it if you're going to play. If not, sit." DP said, "F it, him out." Fans are worried. They think we might be looking at another Ben Simmons situation, a prospect with a ton of talent who doesn't care enough about basketball or winning. Let's remember, what separates the true greats is a continued work ethic for 10+ years. At LSU, Ben Simmons was a first-team All-American, but he never went to class. His team failed to make the NCAA tournament. Those should have been red flags. So that's why people are starting to turn on Darren Peterson. We also have to note, currently, Peterson is averaging more turnovers than assists won. 6 assists per game, which is 2 less than AJ. And after a recent poor 10-point showing against Iowa State, Reddit went wild. I think it's pretty clear this guy is not giving 100%. Teams are tanking for this. How can anyone possibly have this guy at #1? But is this an overreaction? Maybe Darren Peterson really has just been injured. Kyrie Irving only played in 11 games for Duke before he went #1. And against AJ and BYU, both Peterson and AJ scored 17 points, but Darren had to sit out the second half. So in just one half, Peterson showed insane upside, knocked down 3 threes. An incredible drive to the basket against multiple defenders, switching hands at the rim for the finish. A smooth fadeaway mid-range jumper. And to cap it off, a drive where he throws it down over a poor BYU big man. When we watch Peterson's game, It speaks for itself. And all reports on the side say he does have an elite work ethic. So maybe this mystery is just overblown and will solve itself by March. Darren still has plenty of time to prove he's the number one guy, and the worst he's going to fall is to number 3. Which raises another question. How is it possible that Caleb Wilson, a freshman, compared to Kevin Garnett's, not going to be a top 3 pick? Caleb Wilson was supposed to be a raw athlete who still had to figure out how to get the most out of his ability. Then we compare Caleb's stats to college stars like Zion, Anthony Davis, Evan Mobley, Chet Holmgren, and Cooper Flagg, and Caleb belongs right on this list. That already tells us so much about his production. But in terms of his mentality, before the second game of this season, Caleb and North Carolina were set to play Kansas. Caleb was quoted as saying, "Bro, this stuff matters to me. I was mad all week. First of all, they say they got someone on the other team who's better than me. And then also, it's Kansas, and we haven't beat them in 23 years. This is personal." The other player was Darren Peterson. Not only did North Carolina take a 13-point win breaking that 23-year streak, but Caleb outplayed Darren, finishing with 24 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 steals on 9 of 11 shooting. That gave him immediate national exposure. And he proved, when the lights are bright, he's ready to step up. Right now, the one thing missing from Caleb's game is a consistent 3-point shot. He's making only 0. 3 threes a game and shoots 25. 9% from deep. In the modern NBA, that won't cut it. But junk shots can be improved. And taking a look at his game against Florida State, we see just how dominant Caleb already is. He's comfortable with the ball in his hands. Great floor vision shows it immediately with this pass for an open 3. On an out-of-bounds play, we see where the Kevin Garnett comp begins because, yeah, he has the defense, but he also has this insane fade away. Now in transition, Caleb's leading the charge. After a missed layup putback dunk, Caleb dunked a lot in this game. He's an athletic menace. To cap things off, here's a play that will almost certainly be featured on any of his college highlight tapes. Clip, it's from Wilson. A slam by Wilson. This game was nothing new. Caleb Wilson is second in the entire nation in dunks with 67 in 24 games, almost 3 dunks a night. In every game he plays, his athleticism shines. But he's not the raw athlete we were told he was. In fact, Caleb has a remarkably consistent game. He's averaging 19, 4 points per game this year, but the most he's scored in a single game is just 26. However, he's also scored 20 or more in 17 of North Carolina's 24 games. You can pretty much write in a 20 and 10 stat line for him every night. This combo may mean the number 4 pick might be too low for Caleb. Even with all the talent ahead of him, he's an athletic freak who's also 5th in the entire NCAA, in per and 3rd in box plus minus. His ceiling is truly tremendous. So, will scouts regret not ranking a Kevin Garnett-type clone higher? We're going to see. But now we have an even bigger question. Caleb Wilson has been a top 10 recruit since 2022. But with Kingston Flemings, let's ask, how much credit should we give a player who starts at 0 and then skyrockets up the draft board? Nobody had Kingston Flemings as even a top 10 pick. In fact, Kingston was the 3rd-rated recruit in Houston's 2025 recruiting class and wasn't even guaranteed to be a starter this season. To begin the year, Tankathon did not have Kingston as a first-round pick, but now, both ESPN and Tankathon have him going number 5. Most drafts have a guy like Thissamione who rises rapidly throughout the college season, and sometimes these guys hit it big. In his first season at UCLA, Russell Westbrook averaged just 4 points per game and wasn't on people's draft boards. By the end of his sophomore year, he was the number 4 overall pick. Kingston is having a similar rise, but he's doing it in year 1. He's lightning quick, probably the fastest downhill guard in the draft. Houston is the number 2 team in the nation as Kingston leads them in points, assists, and steals per game. And while scouts didn't expect this, those close to Kingston did, because Kingston's mentality? He needs to win like he needs to breathe. When he was just 3 years old, Kingston was run over by a car in a near-fatal accident. And ever since that day, his brother has said he's become the most competitive person alive. What sets him apart on the court? His speed and control. Fleming's ability to blow by any defender is amazing to watch. What skyrocketed him up this year's draft board was a 42-point game against Texas Tech and an 8-steal game versus Florida State. But just looking at his best games would be too easy. So instead, let's focus on Houston versus Auburn, where we can really get a feel for Kingston's game. Right away, he scores through a mixture of insane speed and touch-a-tough floater connects. He can throw it down high's head near the rim, but that's not what his game is about. Back to Auburn. A nice dump-off pass. Kingston is always making the right play. He doesn't always need to go all the way to the basket. His mid-range game is already filthy. After a blow-by, that mid-range jumper connects. Then, in the clutch, Kingston wants the ball. Using his biggest weapon, he simply dashes by a defender for an easy layup. ISO situation, ball in his hands, a Gananatha mid-range jumper that helps seal the game for Houston. Kingston isn't just fast. He's fast without losing his balance. And because of this, out of every freshman in the last 20 years, Kingston Flemings has a top 10 box plus-minus. These physical tools and ability to score from multiple places have risen him to pick number 5. However, when we have a rise like this, we can often find a boom or bust prospect. So the only question is, what's Kingston's ceiling in the NBA? Speaking of analytics, we need to talk about Cam Boozer, because Cam is having one of the best advanced stat seasons we have ever seen from a freshman. The only thing holding Cameron Boozer back from being the guaranteed number 1 pick? Top-tier explosiveness. But in a world where Luka and Jokic are NBA superstar skilled megastars, why are we still holding this against guys like Cam? We already saw earlier that against the best college basketball big men in recent memory. Cam's 22, 8 points, 10 rebounds, 3, 7 assists, and 1. 7 steals more than hold up. But he's also shooting 39, 4% from 3, and making 5 threes a game. With that kind of passing and shooting, his transition to the modern NBA should be seamless. When we look at Cam's advanced stats versus the best college bigs we've recently seen, we find that Cameron Boozer is an absolute standout. He's this draft's analytic monster. To understand Cam's game, let's highlight 2 separate games. Against Stanford, facing up out of a post-up, he hammers the ball to the rim. An easy spin move, bucket. Cam is as elite as they come in the post. We could watch countless highlights of him eating defenders alive there. But in the modern NBA, he needs a face-up game too. Watch, quick fake, then a very pretty finish at the basket. Advanced footwork. Cam is also a freight train on this drive. Shoulder down, outmuscles the defender, forces his way to the rim, scores with amazing touch. He's always attacking the offensive glass putback dunk. Against Wake Forest, we could watch a lot of scoring highlights, but Cam eats out of post-ups because he always makes the right play. Post-up, boom. Cam finds the open man for a score. Another post-up, Cam does it again. Easy basket. I really want to highlight how great Cameron Boozer's court vision and decision-making are, because this is what sets him apart. A winning style and extreme skill set that helped Cam be named both Gatorade National Player of the Year and Mr. Basketball USA as a senior and also as a high school sophomore. Yes, Cam is also a high school prodigy who, in college, leads the nation in offensive win shares, defensive win shares, total win shares, and box plus-minus. Because he's giving us one of the best seasons by a freshman we have ever seen. It should be no surprise that Cam is the easy favorite to win National Player of the Year this season. Cam's entire life, he's dominate even though he's not the most athletic guy on the court, because he's an absolute unit with top-tier basketball IQ. We've seen this translate to the NBA time and time again. So for the first time in years, there is no safe answer for who the number 1 pick should be. In this year's NBA draft, someone is going to make the right decision and their franchise will be rewarded for over a decade. But if a team makes the wrong decision, people are going to lose their jobs. The stakes are that high. And there we have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I really think you're going to like the video that's on the screen right now. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting. You're awesome. We all know it. And as always, have an awesome day. Cue that.